Hello. Me and Mr. Candy Cane are back. I have a feeling it will fall off during this video. If it doesn't, that would be really, really nice. Today I'm just gonna show you the 24 books that I loved in 2024. The year's not over yet, so maybe I'll read a book where I wish I could have added it to this video, but hey. This was actually so much more difficult than I thought. Like I hit my reading goal. I read 100 books so far, but then actually finding 24 books that I really, really enjoyed was more difficult than I thought. There were a lot of books that were just like, yeah, they're good, but like, do they really deserve to be on this list? But then I also only had like five stars, so that also made it a little bit more difficult. A lot of them are part of series or multiple of the same author. I'm just gonna start grabbing. This is in no particular order. No order whatsoever. It's just a pile and I'm gonna grab from the pile. So the first book is Binding Room by Nadine Matheson. This is the second book in the D.I. Henley series, and this is a like detective series. The first book I actually gave 5 stars. I read this at the start of the year because I wanted to read it before the third one came out, but I didn't realize that the third one would only come out in paperback in January 2025. So I still haven't read the third one. I'm still waiting for it, but this was really, really good. I think I gave this like a 4.25. Then book number 2 is Scarred by Emily McIntyre. I'm really bad at pronouncing names, so I'm sorry if I say any of these names wrong. But this is also the second book in the Never After series, and this was so good. I gave this a 4.75. Wonderful. Like, the Never After series is kind of like a dark romance series, and they have like fantasy. They're all like fairy tale inspired, but they don't really follow the plot, but they will have like names, or like some things will have like a little bit of a similarity, but you always fall in love with the villain. It felt almost like a bit like a fantasy. It was really, really good, and I had seen so many people say like this is their favorite, and I was like, because this is based on like The Lion King / Hamlet, and I was like, I don't really like The Lion King. I know, don't come for me. So I was scared that this wasn't gonna be my cup of tea, but it so was. 3 of the books that I loved in 2024 were Freida McFadden books, so here they are. So I'm just gonna show you them individually, and then I'll quickly talk about them. So then the third book is The Inmate by Freida McFadden. I feel like for a while this was her most loved book, and now a lot of people don't like it. I'm kind of confused. But by the time that I picked this up, there were a lot of like negative reviews already. But I still really, really enjoyed this. I don't know what people are on about. I gave this a 4.5 star. I'm pretty sure you guys are overthinking. This was good. The things with Freida McFadden, there's like just so many good things about her books. They're quick, they're easy to read. I don't know what you guys are on about. I really, really enjoyed this. That's kind of all I'm going to say this video. I really enjoyed this. Duh. I think this, like, at the ending, it was just, like, very, all of a sudden, like, what the flick? What the flick? It's kind of with all her books. I wouldn't say it's, like, the most memorable one, but it's a good one. Then the other Freida McFadden book is The Coworker, and again, this is, like, such a hated on book. Why? Like, I genuinely don't understand why people literally hate on this so much. Basically, the main character, she has like an obsession with turtles, and like half of the reviews that I've seen is like, I don't want to hear about your stupid turtles. I do. And also, I am a strong believer of that the female main character in this does have autism. Even if it's not mentioned anywhere, she doesn't like to socialize. In the first like chapter, she had like difficulty making eye contact. Also, if you guys don't know, if you haven't been caught up, I am autistic, so I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. I'm just like what I relate it to. And then the whole thing about her turtles, like that's literally her special interest. And she had like difficulty understanding people, taking social cues, like interpreting what like people's true intentions were. I'm like, this is literally just autism. I think part of why I really enjoyed The Coworker is because I felt like I could relate to the female main character, and I felt like we had that connection. Yeah, here Dawn is strange. She never says the right thing. She has no friends, and she's always at her desk at precisely 8:45 a.m. Autism. Hashtag, did you write about me? And then she doesn't show up one morning, and everyone's like surprised because like, what do you mean she isn't on time? And then she's being targeted. And this is just messy, and I really enjoyed this. Also, I do kind of take it personally when they're like, oh, I didn't like the female main character. I'm like, you don't like autistic people. I'm sorry, that was like, obviously that's a lie, that's a joke, but is it? So literally, why are you mad that she likes turtles? Leave her alone. Anyway, and then the last Freida McFadden book is The Teacher, which is actually the one. No, actually, this is not the one I read most recently. I read like 7 Freida McFadden books in 2024. It's insane. And this is a bit of a weird one. It's a little bit of a iffy one. But I did, for a while, actually gave it 5 stars. And then I like kind of like, and then I dialed it back to a 4.75 because then I was like, is it really a 5-star vibe? I'm not really gonna, I can't really say too much of what it's about, but it is kind of like a teacher-student situation. It's just weird, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fucked, and I like very fucked up things, but hey, that's just like a personal preference, I guess. With this one, I can't see why a lot of people wouldn't like it, because it is that teacher-student situation, which is very off-putting, but then also like it was a good book. And you can also kind of get the gist of that, I guess, from the back. And if you aren't fucking into that, then don't fucking buy the book. It's that simple. And you save money. Yeah, crazy concept. I think we're just gonna stick with the multiple author / series stuff. So then the next one is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So I actually read the Inheritance Games last year, and I really enjoyed that. I finally made the decision to start this, and this was really good. I think I gave this like a 4.25, and this is, people have described it as a young adult Criminal Minds. It's like a group, I think, of 5 teenagers, and they are part of a classified FBI program to help crack like infamous cold cases, but then everything becomes a little bit too close to home, and it's a very interesting story. And as you know, I don't like to say too much about what the books are about, because I tend to go into a lot of the books knowing like one thing about them. All I knew about this is that I was a young adult Criminal Minds, and if you can, those 2 posters up there, those are Criminal Minds posters, so they're my baby. So this is so something for me, and I did really enjoy it. Killer Instinct is the second book. I haven't read the last 2 yet, because there's 4 books total in the series. This one is so far my favorite. I have really enjoyed this. This just was a little bit more exciting. There were a little bit more high stakes. The story was a little bit more like advanced. Though I can understand what, like, because I talked to somebody and somebody said they didn't really like this one, and I can understand. But to me, this is more of what I wanted out of the series, if that makes sense, compared to The Naturals. But also The Naturals, like, to me, I was like, oh well, they have to set up the whole story. It makes sense. I just didn't want to read all in immediately, because then I only had Bad Blood left, and I didn't want to be done. And then I lost count, but then the next book is Heartless by Elsie Silver, and I thought I read this only a couple of months ago, like not that long ago. I read this in January. Excuse me? I was very excited to start this because a lot of people had said that this is their favorite Chestnut Springs book. So if you live under a rock, this has been a very popular romance series, and it's basically like a cowboy small town romance series. And fun fact, I actually didn't enjoy Flawless that much. I gave it like a 3 to 3.5 star, but I continued the series anyway, and I'm glad I did. This was a 4.25. It was just, it's a single dad and nanny trope and grumpy sunshine, and it's just ooh. And I'm a sucker for like single dad or single mom or nanny or any of those kinds of tropes, just because then like seeing the other character engage with their child is just something so beautiful and cute to watch, that like my heart melts every single time. And then on the same note, also Reckless is one of my favorites. I did just read this during Vlogmas. It was in my friends choose my reads video. If you guys haven't watched that, like really guys, really, you're behind. But yeah, this is my favorite Chestnut Springs book. This is book number 4. I haven't read book number 5, which is the last one. This is with Theo and Winter. And Theo, he's a rowdy bull rider, notorious ladies man, scorching hot trouble wrapped in a drool-worthy package. I don't like to say the tropes because it kind of like spoils the plot, but I'm gonna say it because it has been like thrown out everywhere. This is a one night stand accidental pregnancy trope. What I really liked about this book is that it went into a whole different direction than what I was expecting it to. Like with the whole one night stand accidental pregnancy, it was really good. I think this was like a 4.5. Yeah, no, this again, because then you have it with that like child and then, you know, their connection, and it was just like, oh. And also this man is like anything a woman would want, so I was just like drooling the entire time. And then the next book is So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn, and this is the second book in the Kane Brothers series. The first book is it's this one, a not so cute. Can't show you up close because then it goes like this, but I had a lot of fun with this. I enjoyed this. I did read it during my exams, like while I was studying for my exams. I couldn't really give it like my full attention, but this was it was a workplace romance, and he thinks that women and men can just be friends, and they're kind of like trying to prove to each other that they can just be friends, and they have to go on this work trip together. And I was really excited because I really love a good workplace romance, but this wasn't very workplacey. I did really enjoy this up until like the end, because I'm pretty sure there was like a third act breakup, and also I just didn't love the female main character. But like overall, I just love Megan Quinn's writing and her books, and I definitely want to continue reading more of her series because she has so many books, and I need to continue the works. Can you like come out with some more? Yippee! And the next book is A Long Time Coming by Megan Quinn, and this is the third and final book in the Kane Brothers series. And I'd heard so many people say, this is my favorite, this one's so good, this one's so good, this is my fave, this is beautiful. And I was like, but it's friends to lovers, how good can it be? Oh my god. This is a masterpiece. This is wonderful. This is adorable. I love this. And for a long time, I was like, this is gonna be 4.75, and now I've like started to compare every romance book that I read to this one. I think it deserves a 5-star. And basically the female main character, she is engaged and planning to get married to someone that she doesn't really like I don't know, and like the male main character definitely doesn't like him. Just read it. Just read it. Just read the series. Just read it. Then the next book is Just Like the Other Girls by Claire Douglas. And again, if you've been on my page for a little while, I've read so many Claire Douglas books throughout 2024. I read my first one, and I think this year, and I think I've read 7 in total. They are all quite similar, I will say, but honestly I kind of like that, especially not to play the autism card, but I do quite like when things are consistent and they're kind of similar and I know what to expect. I don't want to like expect the ending, but like all of Claire Douglas books are quite like a familiar feeling. They're very comforting. It's always someone's missing, or it's a couple, or I don't know, they're all like very in the same direction of each other, but this one has been my favorite so far, and it was, I think, literally the first one I read. And it's basically this girl, she is devastated after the death of her mother, and she is looking for a new start, so she finds that this older lady wants a carer/companion, and like basically then you just get to live there, take care of her, you get paid, and you just kind of help her around the house and just like obviously keep her company, but it's not as it seemed. And then like the older lady's daughter is very cold and bitter. There were like 2 other girls before the new caretaker, and like what has happened to them, and this was so good. And you can ask my mom. You can call her up and ask her too, because she read this as well and she really enjoyed this. I think it was her favorite so far as well. And then the next book is Lightlark by Alex Astor, and this was a pretty recent read as well. I read this in November, but I did really enjoy this. This was my first fantasy I'd read for a while. I've been like reading fantasy like scattered throughout the year, not as much as I would want to. I actually have now like a small little dedicated fantasy shelf since I've grown my collection collection this year, but I haven't read as much as I wanted to, if that makes sense. And again, if you've been living under a rock, this is about every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. And it has a love triangle. And I love this. This was just like a bunch of fun. Also, the male main character. I mean, there's 2 love interests, but I'm Team Grimm. The stakes, I don't know, it was just like so much fun. Like, it was just pure fun. And the ending, I was on my hands and knees like trying to like grasp what happened. I was like fucking scraping the floor to understand what was happening. It was insane. But I'm very excited to continue the series as well. I already have the next book, which I will definitely be reading at the start of 2025. And then the next book is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. And you can kind of guess what this is about. Kill for me and I'll kill for you. Again, Steve Kavanaugh does write really, really good books. I have one of his series, and though I'm kind of having trouble with that series, all the standalones that I've read by him, which I think he has like literally 2, but I've read 2, and I've enjoyed both of them a lot. They were both almost a 5-star or almost a 5-star. This was a 4.75. This was a really, really good. Again, it's just like twisty, interesting. It's also a lot of like character driven. Like, it's definitely a really good like 50% character, 50% plot. In some areas, maybe a bit more of character. Yeah, this was good. This was like really, really good. I wish people were more like talking about it more, because I feel like whenever I see reviews, it's like the same kind of people that read these kinds of books. And I'm like, I want people like, hey, maybe Destiny can read it or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just want people in our age range. And then the next book is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. And again, this was one of the few fantasy books I did read this year. And this was so good. A lot of people were talking about just that the vibes are really, really nice. And just the whole like mood and environment of the book. And I will so agree. This was great. This was lovely. This was mwah. This is about, I'm not even really gonna try to explain it, honestly. There's a romance, definitely. But also it's like low-key kind of slow burn. And there's monsters and cards, and I'm sorry I'm kind of like speeding through these. I have somewhere to be. And then the next 2 are part of the Shadow Me series. So the first one is Ignite Me. This was a 5-star. And then the other one was Defy Me. These were both 5 stars. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed these just because both of them main points for me in the series, they made me feel the most emotion, the most connected to the story and the characters. And I definitely was crashing out after I finished Defy Me. And if you genuinely don't know anything about the Shadow Me series, I'm not going to explain it to you because that's your own fault. That's your fault, babe. Then the next book is Fourth Wing. Again, if you don't know what this book is, I feel bad for you. But I did read Fourth Wing. I think it was, January as well. And it was one of my 5-star reads. I just really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was, again, just one of those books that you can just like fly through and just have pure fun. Like, it was pure entertainment. I will say I was a little bit disappointed with Iron Flame. That's why it's not here. No, this was so good. And I think if you still haven't read it, obviously you probably might not have read it for a reason, but it was a lot of fun. Also, if you are trying to convince your boyfriend or a man to start reading, I gave my boyfriend this book and he devoured it. He loved it. And I think this is I think also because it's with dragons, it's very quick. It has like high stakes. I think this is very, very good for anyone who's trying to get into reading, but especially like men. I don't know, like dragons, like rah. Okay, let's continue. The next book that I also really enjoyed in 2024 is Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry. Is that how you pronounce her name? But this is a romantic suspense, and that entails that it has a bit of mystery, a bit of a murder mystery, a bit of romance, it has a bit of both. It's just very fun. This is a small town series, and she's a detective, and she's new to the town, to the force. Hey guys, I look different maybe? It's later, it's literally 2 hours later. My camera ran out of storage and then I had to actually leave. So I just decided I'll just film the rest when I come back. So I'm back. For you, it was like a second. For me, it was 2 hours. And I thought this was really fun and I gave it a 4.5 star. And this was like a mix of everything you wanted. And I really want to read more romantic suspense books. I know she has a series that is only romantic suspense, but I first want to finish this series. And the next book I actually read quite recently in Vlogmas, and that is Chill Factor. So while I was reading this, especially in like the first half, I didn't love it just because I think it was the fault of the audiobook, just because like I couldn't like fuck with the accents because it was just like, bad. And also there was quite a bit of misogyny in this book, but then I found out it was published in 2006, and it was like part of the characters, like it was a part of, like, it wasn't done just for no reason to like fuck over a woman. It was like part of the story and part of the characters, but then also like it did throw me off a little bit. But then when I was like looking for 24 books that I love in 2024, I did realize this did definitely like leave its mark on me, just because it was so captivating. I think that's a really good word for this one. It was good. This was really, really good. It's about this woman, and her and her husband are divorcing, and they have this cabin in the woods, and they decide to put it for sale, and they just kind of like finish cleaning everything out, and her ex-husband leaves, and she says, I'll follow you in a sec. And then in that moment, she gets in a car crash with somebody else. They decide to hide in the cabin because there's a blizzard coming, and they don't have time to leave. But there has been a serial killer, which, well, the bodies haven't been found, but they believe it's a serial killer because 4 women have disappeared in 2 years, and a blue ribbon is left near the spot where each last was seen. And there's like a bunch of different perspectives. There's a bunch of different like things going on at the same time, but they all like merge very nicely at the end. Like they all are like intertwined, and like, because in the beginning you're kind of like, well, who's this and how do they relate to the story? And at the end it's like one big picture. It's like the puzzle is finished. It was good. It was really good. And then the next book, which I actually read like start January, Little Boy Blue by MJ Arledge. This is part of the Helen Gray series. As you guys know, I'm obsessed with this series. I can't really say what this book is specifically about, because I feel like as we go on into the story, a lot of the books are more about like actual the characters and not necessarily a mystery, and this is kind of where that starts, so I don't really want to spoil anything. But I gave this a 4.75. This was just so intense and crazy, and the ending was intense and crazy. This is, I think, book number 5. I cannot recommend this series enough. The next book is Magnolia Parks. I also read this in like February. I did really, really enjoy this. In the beginning, I struggled a little bit to get into it. I remember that. I also have a reading vlog from this. It is currently up. But I do remember that I read it like, I think in like 1 or 2 days. Like I read it really, really quickly, because it's like so toxic and messy, and it's just so drama filled, but also like you're rooting for people, and it's just so good. The only reason I haven't continued the series yet is because I haven't been able to find Daisy Hates at a price I like. But then I just saw that the works came out with a box set, so I'm probably gonna buy that. And then I mean, I have a double of Magnolia Parks, but then I'll probably put Magnolia Parks up on my Vinted. Yeah, no, I really want to continue the series. I'm excited for it, and I think that's definitely something I want to do in 2025. A lot to do. Then the next book is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and this didn't have like a super high rating, but this was just like such a good romance book. This is like a romance interconnected standalone series. It's 3 sisters, and they all have like some sort of issue, and this one has a chronic illness. This was just so sweet. This was exactly what you would want out of a romance book, and there was like a kind of like a third act breakup, but not really. It was very mature, and it wasn't like too I don't know, like when you just are yearning for a good, sweet, but like real romance book, like you want a bit of that reality, this is perfect. I was actually quite touched by this, just because like the way he cared about her, like, and about her and for her, also with her chronic illness, but also just like as someone who is disabled, like it's so someone caring for you, but also someone looking past your disorder or illness. Like, thank you that you don't just see me as someone who's autistic, but you see me for me. That's so nice. There's a lot of people who cannot do that in my life that I have met, that I have been friends with actually, who cannot understand that concept, which is a shame, because it's not that difficult. It's really not. Hey guys, I was editing and I realized I fully put down 25 books. I don't know how that happened, because I had a list, but I'm sorry, it's gonna be 25, because like I loved all of them, so there's just gonna be an extra one. Deal with it. The second to last book, which is gonna be a surprise to absolutely no one, is Binding 13. Yeah, I'm really glad I did read this before the end of the year, because I feel like I was so nervous to read this and just this entire series, and I was scared I wasn't gonna like it, but also I feel like I kind of like broke the ice with the series now, because I was just like intimidated by the size and the story and the popularity. And now that I've read the first book and I read it in like 3 days, I'm not as intimidated anymore by the other books. I'm still intimidated because I'm scared of what the fuck's gonna happen and that my heart's gonna be shattered into pieces, but I'm not as nervous anymore, and it's not like a daunting thing to, like, whenever I was looking at my shelf, like, feel very it was just very daunting to look at, like, to even like think about reading. And then the final book of today's video is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. So this was a 4.75 book as well. I read this in basically one day. It's kind of fantasy, it's kind of mystery, it's kind of romance. It has all three. It has literally all three, and they're all like, I can't really like tell you which one has like the most in this book. It's so good. And just from the description, like from the blurb, I wasn't sure if this was gonna be my cup of tea and that I was gonna enjoy this. And that's why it was literally on my shelf for like 2 years until I picked it up. But it was not a regret, But this was such. Oh, now there's lip gloss on this candy cane. But yeah, this was so good. Okay, I'm not gonna pick up any of those books because that pile was daunting. But yeah, I hope you guys had fun in today's video. I had a lot of fun. I like talking about books I liked. I'm excited to see what 2025 is going to bring. I'm definitely going to do this again next year because I think it's just very fun. Also, at the start of the year, I did make a 24 books I wanted to read in 2024 in my book journal, and I haven't read all of them, but I've read quite a bit. Hopefully I can bang out more of my TBR in 2025. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're still watching, comment this little emoji up here, and I'll see you tomorrow on Vlogmas Day. I wish I knew. I wish I could tell you.